listening to the Best Advice Podcast, guys. If you haven't already, give us a 5-star review and help spread the word. And if you have a question for the guys, email a voice recording to podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com. That's podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com.
Welcome back to Best Advice Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Rob Lovaglio, here as always with co-hosts Dave Allen, Frank Lovaglio, and Mitchell Walk. Gentlemen, what's crack-a-lackin'?
We like that.
I like it.
Rob's our co-host because he comes up with these amazing just thoughts and ideas.
Exactly.
Frank, what do you think?
I'm excited. I mean, crack-a-lackin' just gets me pumped up, and I'm ready to go. What do you think, Dave?
I don't know.
I like it. Mitch and I are never short for words, so we'll just take it.
So before we get into the question of the day, I want to touch on an article I read this weekend from Peak Dynamics, and it really just blew my mind, right? So Mitch, how many times do you think a person talks to themselves a day?
I think 1 million.
Yeah, not you. You're a bad one because your brain works like
it
AI.
It never stops. It's like AI. It never stops. It never
It's
stops.
AI. All right, let's try that.
I'm going to just throw out, 500,000.
That's a lot. Wow, you guys are good high numbers.
We're
all right.
positive.
Well,
Yeah.
it's 60,000 times a day you're talking to yourself.
Thoughts.
Okay.
Talking to yourself.
Yeah.
How many times would you think that it's negative versus positive?
Half the time.
Half the time. So it's 75% of the time when you're talking to yourself, you're telling yourself you suck. Right? So that's 45,000 times a day you're telling yourself, Rob, you suck. And I'm a corporate. I do it 100%.
You suck!
But how do we have a good day? Like, how are any of us having a good day? 45,000 times a day we're telling ourselves we suck. The article continues to go just into the ripple effect it has on everyone around you, your mental health, your physical health. And then it ends the article with you can turn it or flip the switch on it, and the positive effect also has a ripple effect on your mental health and everyone around you, right? So like if I walked in and I go, hey, Dave, how you doing today? Or, hey, Dave, how you doing? You're like, what's up, Rob? How we doing, man?
Pick you up a little bit.
One of our voices is going to change, right? It's contagious, right? So we're going to try to trick our brains or train our brains, for a better word, to keep the positive and positivity up. And we're going to give you something. We're going to call it Give Me Something Good, beginning of every show. And we hope that this kind of has a domino effect on your day and you hold on to it and affect everyone in a positive way. So first episode, we're doing this. And the segment, again, is called Give Me Something Good. So, Dad, give me something good.
I like it. Well, and I like that because I would say that this group, we've been blessed and we've all been successful, thank God. And I think that you probably see, and this is me just talking, I have no idea, people that tend to do well, I bet they flip the script a little bit because we all struggle with that, right? We all have to say, hey, wait a minute, let's think positive. But I think in this group, there's probably a lot of good positive thoughts going on. So I was excited when you told me a couple days ago I would be kicking this off. So I thought right away, who's one of the best positive thinkers in the world, right? Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. My dad told me when I was like 18, he's like, read this book. It'll change your life. I'm not sure if it changed my life because I was
the whole thing.
No, I read about 2 chapters, got bored. But I remembered it when Rob
was positive.
Yeah, but it was positive. The 2 chapters were really positive, and one really stuck out with me because you kind of mentioned what you were going to be saying. I cheat because my son kind of helps us run the show, and this one's great because all of us tend to, and we're all human, and so we all feel like some of the things in our life are obstacles, right? It's like, oh, and mine is I hate going to the doctor. I'm like, I think he's going to tell me I'm going to die tomorrow, so I hate going, and then I wind up being fine, but in the lobby, I'm sweating bullets. So this is a great quote. Stand up to your obstacles and do something about them. You will find that they haven't half the strength you think they have. So whatever it is that's bothering you, get in there, fight it, look at it in the eye, grab the monster, and the monster might be weaker, and he's kind of a little guy. You think he's huge, and then you grab him and go, that wasn't as scary as I thought. So
Face it.
face your obstacles, look at him in the eye, the monster shrinks, and then you own it. That's my thought
I
of the
like
day.
that. I like it because anxiety comes from the unknown, right?
Right.
Like the biggest cause of anxiety is the unknown. So if you don't even know where to start, it's kind of like starting like a big project in
That's
work.
right.
You're like, dang, the hardest part's getting started.
Yeah.
And be positive about it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah.
That will break down those barriers.
Exactly. Because you think, a lot of times, we all do it. We all put this stuff in our head. It's, public speaking, I know we're all fortunate to be able to do it, but I've got some friends that are going to go up and talk, and they're like, what do I do? I haven't slept in 3 days. I'm going to have a panic attack on stage. I'm like, half the battle is you're so nervous before you get up there. And then Mitch, he'll sing Frank Sinatra in front of 400 people, and he loves it.
He's a
That's not
game-time
big enough.
player.
The bigger the audience, the more positive.
Exactly. But what a blessing that is, right?
I love it. All right, so let's transition into the question of the day. Today's question comes from Katie from Winter Springs. Katie, what you got for us?
You want to say something?
When controversy surrounds a stock you're heavily invested in, specifically Lyft, should I consider reallocating the position?
All right. Thank you, Katie. So for y'all who don't know, Lyft has had a lot of controversy lately. The most recent controversy surrounded their last earnings report where they had a typo. So Lyft reported their increased growth at 500 basis points, which is 5%, where in fact their increased growth was only 50 basis points, which is 0.5%. So the stock rose very fast to 67%. And then later, I believe it was like 45 minutes later, they came out with it and it was corrected. So I'm going to leave it to the experts here. Dave, can you give me 2 minutes real quick?
This will actually jive real well with what Frank was talking about. Be positive. Run at your mistakes, right? So basically, the CEO, David Risher, had that typo in the earnings report. But the difference between this one and some of those other CEO scandals that are happening, this isn't a scandal. This was a mistake. And what David Risher did is he ran right into the wind. He said, I made a mistake, everybody. I take complete ownership of it. It's me, not my employees. They're great. They do a good job. And basically, as a result of that, what he did, like Frank, he ran right at it, faced it, stood it,
Made a mistake.
got on social media, spoke on television about it. And the difference is that normally, if you have an issue like this, and it's a real issue, your company they hide you. They do not let you go out there. What they did is he went out there and he told everybody what was going on. And guess what happened? Think about it. On the 12th of February, the market was let me look at my notes here. It was around $12 a share. It shot up quickly to $19. But then the next couple weeks, it drifted down. But guess what? Because he was so straight with the public, it's drifted back up. So it's trading around 17, 18 right now. Before the event, it was $12. He came clean. I made a mistake. And guess what? The company's fundamentals took it back to where it should be. So it spiked above it.
Yeah.
So 12, 19, and now 17, 18. So, But it did drop and come back. So the difference between this one and others is this was a legitimate mistake. This was not a legitimate problem. And sometimes when there is a problem, the stock, you've seen them, Frank, they go from $90 to 50 cents.
Sure, if it's real.
If it's real.
If it's real.
And they're gone. This one's not real. So
That's great.
Yeah, that's a quick, I felt like they bounced back, or they bounced up, they bounced down, they bounced up quick again.
Yeah,
And maybe just to add to that,
Dad, go ahead.
What people like is integrity, right? Because there's so much CEO fraud and CFO fraud. This guy's like, hey, he got ahead of it quick and said, I made a mistake. I was wrong. Quickly, and people so maybe, the general public, the mom and pop that are buying the stock, 1,000, 2,000, not the institutional buyers, were like, I believe in this guy. He owns up to his mistakes. I'm in. So I think honesty and integrity from the leaders is probably good, and it had a positive effect, right?
Beautiful.
And the point also on that is what people are trying to demand but never get it. It's the transparency and the responsibility.
Right. That's right.
So he told us, here's what happened, and I am responsible.
Absolutely.
And that's what people want
He was a
in
true
life.
leader. Yeah, he led
in
it.
life, they want that.
That's right. That's
Be responsible for the good and the bad.
Right. And come clean. Yeah.
And we're
that's
all
what he
human. We all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
I guess I forgot that you never ever make a mistake.
So today, I think Lyft's up 30%. And again, I obviously gave a lot of credit to Taylor Swift last year, being the era.
Yeah, the Taylor effect.
So the hotel bookings were up, stadium rides were up. Even the Fed, I believe, said thank you to Taylor Swift for our economy. I mean, can you imagine?
It makes me, I played basketball in college. I should have been a tight end because the tight ends get Taylor Swift.
Right.
So does that make you a Swiftie?
I'm a Swiftie. I admit it.
Dude, I'll be a Swiftie.
The $1 billion tour.
I'll do it.
Sum up the question for us, Mitch, please. Again, it was when controversy surrounds a stock such as Lyft like it has, do you re-strategize your investment portfolio or do you let it ride?
Well, what really you should do, and that's why we recommend people should have investment advisors like the three of us, is we are here to try to protect the client from those knee-jerk reactions. You see something on TV and in 45 minutes or less, the stock starts to fall. What caused that stock to fall? You have to know why and what are the reasons. In this case, it was pretty much a clerical error read by the CEO. People made these knee-jerk reactions. They tried to sell. Find out what's behind this. Don't just go make those quick changes. Why is it? Are they bad numbers? Are they good numbers? Was there some mistake? So really, I would say check with your advisor, or if you don't have one, you may want to take a look at that route or that avenue, because we don't make those knee-jerk reactions. We find out, is it earnings per share? Did they lose contracts? Is there political issues? That's what you need to look at, and that's what has to happen.
Emotional decisions get people in trouble, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that was an emotional decision by many people, and the stock drifted back up when they were transparent and there was a responsibility taken.
Let me add something. The way we manage money at Security Financial is we're not trying to pick your hot stock. We pretty much have you in portfolios. Lyft might be a tiny component in one of the exchange-traded funds or in a portfolio, but it's never a dominant piece of your overall portfolio. So many times those decisions are being dealt with by the institutional managers that we utilize. So in our portfolios, Rob, we're not really having that phone call. Tell me about my Lyft position.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Yeah.
But that might be going on behind the scenes in our institutional managers. So we try not to be that hot stock.
Good point.
Good point.
All right. This takes us to the last segment of the day. This segment is for Mitch Walk, who is the walking AI human. I know last episode we talked about no one at the table being able to think about 100 things at once. Well, that is no longer the truth here with Mitch Walk. And we're going to end these episodes with the segment, A Minute with Mitch, where he's going to give us a quick minute on what's going on in relevant market news.
1 minute with Mitch.
Well, I'll try to make that a minute for you, and I always do, and I may go an extra 30 seconds. I hope that's okay for everybody. We're starting to see the Magnificent Seven, which you heard so much about last year, is starting to drift back now to the Magnificent Five, because two of the stocks, and Apple is one of them, is really down a little and kind of surprising. Apple has always, in the last few years, been the most valuable company with market cap. They've actually given up that position just recently to Microsoft, which passed them. As a matter of fact, Apple year to date, according to Barron's on March 18th, 2024, they're down 6.27% year to date, and their market cap still amazing, $2.67 trillion.
They were up to $3 trillion.
They were up to $3 trillion, correct. So again, with their 6.27% down, they have now dropped from $3 trillion down to 2.67. Microsoft, on the other hand, year to date through March 18th with Barron's, is up 12.52%, and they've actually busted through the $3 trillion sector. They're at $3.1 trillion. But Tesla's the one that's really getting hit hard this year. They are down. They came out with their truck, not overwhelming right now. Just yesterday, they announced a new remake of the Tesla Y. So that hopefully will help with sales, but they are down 30% year to date. So you can see two of the Magnificent Seven, which have had a great run, are both down year to date, and Tesla's down 30%. That is significant. Not sure what's going to happen with Elon Musk and what he's doing. Some people want to know where we think things are going to be going this year. We still like the growth sector. Not as heavy as we had, but the good news is I've talked about that Magnificent Seven. Last year, those 7 stocks represented about a third of the S&P 500. And because they were up so much, the other 493 stocks were up low to mid single digits. However, we're starting to see now a more broad-based market. So it's not just those 7. You're starting to see more broad-based. What we're also looking at is some small cap stocks, growth stocks, because they probably will do better when interest rates start to come down. We don't know what the Fed's going to do. Today's March 19th. The Fed's supposed to speak this afternoon, but there's only a 1% chance that they're going to lower rates.
Right.
I don't think anybody at this table thinks they're going to lower rates. Do you think they're going to do that?
Maybe this
Not
summer.
yet.
I'm thinking this summer, maybe.
Possibly in June. I think they go on vacation in July, so there were nothing in July, and then maybe in August. Originally, the beginning of the year that most money managers were talking about, according to Yahoo Finance, there was going to be a 1.61% drop in the Fed rates this year, and that was going to be about 6 cuts. They've changed that recently, thinking it might only be 3 25 basis cuts at 75 basis points. So that's where we are. We're looking at some financials because if rate cuts come down, probably housing will pick up a little. Banks will start making more loans, the bigger banks. So really, to wrap this part up, we're looking at financials, we're looking at small cap stocks and some large cap growth sectors right now because of where we are in the market today. But the good news is, looks like a broad-based rally, but don't get overheated and excited. There's still a lot of headwinds possibly ahead of us.
That was 1 minute with what? Oh, how much? Oh, 4 minutes with Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch. Thank you. Remember, everyone, the secret to wealth is not what you earn, it's what you keep. Happy days, everybody.
This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not intended as personal financial advice. Before making any financial decision, please do your own research and consult a financial advisor as needed. If you have a question for the guys, email podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com.